Hello everyone, and welcome to Toon'd, where I discuss cartoons. And Merry Christmas! The holiday season, for some people, is all about family. So, I thought what better thing to do for this month's episode of Toon'd is to just talk about some of my favorite cartoon families. No particular list, it's not a top 10, I just want to talk about some of these guys. I can't talk about cartoon families without talking about a modern Stone Age family, with the Flintstones, but also the Rubbles. They both are very loving families. The Rubbles are interesting because Bam Bam is adopted. Well, that's only slightly interesting. What really makes them interesting is the fact they're all cavemen, but, I digress. You look at those families and you could tell that despite any of their faults, they are happy together. I just like the Flintstones. From the past to the future, let's move on to the Jetsons. Even though George Jetson has the attitude of someone who just can't be bothered with anything. What I always loved about the Jetsons was George always acts like work has beaten him down so hard he doesn't want to deal with any of his family's nonsense. But when you actually see what he does, it's ridiculous. Because he presses a button and then sleeps all day. But I guess in the future, that is incredibly hard work. I guess. Still, despite all the antics they get into, despite George not really wanting to deal with it, they still love each other. It's still a good family. It's still one that I enjoy watching. The Griffins from Family Guy are one of your more dysfunctional families, to be certain. But on a good day, they can still come together. On a good day, they can still come together. They can still be something heartwarming. They usually are just so messed up they are beyond functioning. But I don't know, I still like the Griffins from time to time. A family doesn't technically have to be functional in order to be endearing. In the world of superheroes, there is one family that comes to mind. The Fantastic Four. Two of the four are actually related, with Susan and Johnny Storm being brother and sister. Reed Richards later gets into that family, marrying Sue, and Ben Grimm is pretty much just that friend of the family that basically is like an uncle. Not all families are conventional, and this four is definitely unconventional. On the topic of the Fantastic Four, The Incredibles. These 5 superheroes, I'm counting Jack, why not? They are all related. And, yeah, every family has their spats, and they certainly do. And at the end, they still love each other. A good family unified by love and the need to fight evil. The Belchers from Bob's Burgers. This is another case of the everybody in the family is crazy except the father who can't deal with it or struggles to deal with it. They're enjoyable to watch. Most of these families on this list are just fun to watch. Speaking of a father who struggles to deal with their family antics, the Hills from King of the Hill. Hank Hill, without a doubt, loves his family. It's just his family, and in fact everybody around him, seems to be insane in one way or another. Hank's just a good old boy who's just dealing with all these problems one by one. Dang it, Bobby. I sell propane and propane accessories. I can't do Hank very well. Like many good animated fathers, Hank can actually present some pretty good words of wisdom, even to his completely different son. And Bobby, in return, respects his father. There really hasn't been much reason for him not to. The Hills are probably one of the more grounded families on this list. Probably because, despite being animated, King of the Hill tried to ground itself mostly in reality. On the topic of good old country folk, the Greens. Now, Big City Greens is a fairly newish series, but probably one of the newer ones on this list. But there is something charming and endearing about this Beverly Hillbillies style family and how they just deal with modern city life and taking it in stride. I haven't watched much of Big City Greens, but from what I've seen, I like this family, and I want to know more. As I said before, not all families are conventional, and in the case of this family, we don't even have a mother or father. Well, that's not true. The modern incarnation does have a mother, but we're talking about the McDuck clan, named, of course, for Scrooge McDuck, the patriarch of the entire group. But up until season 2 of the modern DuckTales, there was no mother in the situation. You had Uncle Scrooge, you had Uncle Donald, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, the housekeeper slash super spy, Miss Beakley. It's not related, but you know, Ben Grimm situation. And her granddaughter, Webigail. A family friend slash employee, Launchpad McQuack. And there was no mother to speak of until season 2, where Della returned. And she's learning how to be a mother because she has spent all that time on the moon and has never been one. And yeah, there's some charm there of her learning. There's so much to love about this new DuckTales series, and the family is one of them. Because all the characters are so good. They're so good. They're certainly going to get on each other's nerves, but, you know, family is family. They do drive that point home often. So yeah, I love the McDucks. I absolutely do. Going out on adventures, solving mysteries, and rewriting histories. Speaking of mystery, we have the dark and mysterious Addams Family. I talked a little bit about the Addams Family during the review for their movie that came out recently, but I want to retouch them again. There's something weirdly drawing about the first family of Macabre. This dark gothic look on your nuclear family is, I don't know, I love it. They are a very, very close family despite everything. Gomez and Morticia are relationship goals. They love each other so incredibly much, it's undeniable. They love each other to the point of obscenity, almost. That was the original point, is they perhaps loved each other too much, or was too public about it. But nowadays, that's just charming as heck. That is something to strive for in your relationship. I just love the evolution, that it was originally a joke to creep people out, and now it's what you want. Now, when talking about cartoon families, you probably wouldn't expect me to talk about the Dragon Ball series. But I'm gonna! There's something to be said about the Briefs. Yeah, not Son Goku's family. There's a lot messed up there. Instead, we're talking about Bulma, Vegeta, Trunks, and Bra. The Briefs family. And to an extent, the grandparents, but yeah. You don't really talk much about Dr. Briefs or Panty, because they just don't come up that often. For a show about kung fu laser battles and alien gods, Akira Toriyama, I think, accidentally made a very good family, a very touching family. Quite by accident, I'm sure. I didn't think that was what he intended to make. But we have an incredibly dedicated father. It used to be Vegeta's ambition to beat Goku. To absolutely beat Goku in the realm of, martial arts and all that. To be stronger than Goku. But in a way, he beat Goku in another way. Vegeta is one heck of a father. Even hanging up his training from time to time to be a dad. Because that is another sense of his pride. He does a lot for his children and for his Bulma, including tolerating some really embarrassing things for him. I don't want to have fun on this train. I'm grumpy. But he does it. He does it because he's a good dad. It's a fun family from an unexpected place. And I think that's why I like them so much. And lastly, we can't talk about animated families without discussing The Simpsons. The Simpsons was your original dysfunctional family and in animation. But I've never seen a family that was actually closer. Ultimately, I've never seen an animated family that gives you so many proper feels, so many lessons, The Simpsons was simultaneously the worst family you've ever seen and the best family you've ever seen. You can make your arguments about The Simpsons being a completely different show than it used to be, that it's not as good as it used to be, or whatever your reason, whatever you were going to say about it. But the family themselves have stood the test of time, I think, incredibly well. Those were my favorite animated families. Did you have an animated family that you love that I didn't talk about? Well, I'd love to hear about it in your comments below. This was, of course, my list, my opinion, and I just enjoyed talking about them, even if it wasn't really all that engaging of an episode. I enjoyed it. I had to do something for this channel anyway, because I'm busy with the move, which is happening soon, and the holiday season at work. So I'm just petting this purring kitten on me while I am finishing up this episode, and I'll put it up. Yeah, but things will become less busy for me, I'm sure, next month, and you'll get more stuff from me. But until then, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and stay tuned.